Hey everyone, I'm Teresa from Reese Dixon. This is a great way to help you bring a healthy lunch to school or to work. You will need spray adhesive, a sewing machine, scissors, a drop cloth, ruler, and chalk. Although it might be harder to find, you can also use oilcloth in lieu of the vinyl. Step 1, choose your materials. I chose a vintage style cotton fabric for the main bag and a contrasting pattern for the accent pocket on the back. I'll make this bag using fabric attached to vinyl since these materials will be easier for you to find. But you can also use oilcloth or pattern vinyl as long as it doesn't have a cloth backing. You don't want to have anything leak inside your lunch bag and absorb into that cloth. That'll just be gross. I'm also using a sewing machine for this craft since it will make for a really sturdy lunch bag. Step 2, cut. To make the body of the bag, cut from your vinyl and main fabric 2 8¼ inch by 4 inch pieces and one 25½ inch by 7 inch piece. To make the accent pocket, cut from your vinyl and accent fabric a 4 inch by 4 inch square. To make a closure and handle for the bag, cut one 3½ inch Velcro piece and two 7½ inch pieces of ribbon. I know that sounds like a lot of pieces to cut, but we're just gonna take it one step at a time. But if this at all feels overwhelming or you're getting your pieces confused or need more measurements, you can check this out on my blog too. We'll be sure and have a link down below that walks you through step by step with pictures as well. So this is the 25½ by 7 inch piece. And this is going to be the main front and bend around and be the back of your lunch bag. So I'm going to cut one of these out of the vinyl as well. So now we need the two side pieces. As this bends around like that, you'll need 2 pieces to fit right there. Those pieces measure 8¼ by 4 inch, and we'll need 2 of those in the vinyl and in the main fabric. If you want to make sure that your pieces are cut accurately, you can use a piece of chalk to mark your cut lines. Next, we've got the pocket. So that's just a square of vinyl, 4 inches by 4 inches, and a square of your accent fabric that's also 4 inches by 4 inches. To make your handle, you need 2 pieces of ribbon cut to 7½ inches each. And your last cut is just your Velcro, which needs to be 3½ inches. Okay, that's all of our pieces, and now we're ready to start assembling. Step 3, glue. Using the spray adhesive, glue the fabric pieces to the vinyl. Make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area. So my favorite way to do this is to spray onto the vinyl. Just give it a couple of seconds, and then you put the pattern down on top. And then just smooth it out to get rid of any wrinkles. Putting the fabric on this larger piece, I rolled it up, and that way I can unroll it and glue it a little bit at a time so that it doesn't get stuck before I'm ready for it and end up sideways. There we go. Using plain vinyl and attaching fabric to it is a great way to personalize the bag, especially if you have a harder time finding pattern vinyl without a cloth backing or oilcloth. This fabric is going to stay on the vinyl once we sew it, and the nice feature is that it's going to fray a little bit on the edges and give it a cool shabby chic kind of look. Step 4, attach. Attach your accent pocket and Velcro. Once my glue was dry, I went around and trimmed up any fabric to make sure that it's all lined up nice and crisp, and then I can get some good measurements too. So I'm ready to mark where my pocket is. From one end, I measure 7½ inches in, and I marked that with my chalk. That's where the top of my pocket will fit, and so I'll center that and then sew at 1/8 of an inch away from the edge on the sides and bottom. So while I've got my chalk handy, I'm gonna do the rest of my marks. I've got my Velcro here. On the side with the pocket facing up, you're gonna put your Velcro on the vinyl side, 3/4 of an inch from the end. And on the other side, on the cloth, it's going to be 3.5 inches down. So I'll mark that with my chalk. So before I attach the pocket to my bag, I want to make sure that I have a pretty line of contrast stitching all the way around. The other 3 sides will get that stitching when we sew it to the bag, but since the top has to stay open, we have to sew that part first. So I'm just going to take it to the sewing machine and sew at 1/8 of an inch, just about as close to that edge as I can steer to get that nice, neat line of stitching. So now I have this nice neat line of top stitching and I'm ready to put it back to where I marked it. I'm going to sew down one side, across the bottom, and back up the other side. Give it a turn to get to the bottom. And one more turn to get up that side. If you add a couple reverse stitches there, it'll make that top part even stronger so that as you're pulling on the pocket, it won't pop off. Now I've got my Velcro where I marked it and I'm gonna sew that on by again going all the way around as close to the edge as I can get it. Now I have to put my matching piece of Velcro on the vinyl side, about 3/4 of an inch from the edge. And it never hurts to double check that you're centering those both right so they'll actually match up when you need them to. So with the Velcro sewn on, we've got our closure done and our pocket done. We just need to do the handle and the sides. Step 5, make your handle. Sew the 2 pieces of ribbon together lined up on top of each other. You'll have 3 lines going the long ways, 1/8 of an inch from the top, down the center, and 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. This will keep the ribbon from sliding around. Then you'll sew your ribbon to the bag 4.5 inches from the top and 3/4 of an inch from each side. Sew a 1-inch box on each end to secure. This will make for a much stronger handle. Take your 2 pieces and line them up right on top of each other, and then I'm just gonna run it through the sewing machine, doing 1 line as close to the edge as I can get there, right down the middle, and then 1 more as close as I can get to that edge. Once you've sewn all of those lines so that you've got this super stable little strap, then you'll line it up on your bag between your Velcro and your pocket, about 3/4 of an inch in from each edge, so you'll have to kind of bunch up the strap as you're sewing it, and then it's 4.5 inches in from that top line. So I'm gonna scoot that up a little bit. And then to attach it, I'm going to sew a rectangle around that edge about 1 inch wide, and that will make it so that instead of just 1 thin line supporting the whole weight of your lunch, it'll be distributed throughout that box, and it'll make it so the handle will not come off on you. Now I'll scoot all this strap over to the other side and do the same thing over there. Step 6, sew. Sew your bag. With the wrong sides together, sew 1 side panel to the main bag, then sew on the other. Start from the bottom side of the main bag piece and sew until you get 1/4 of an inch from the short side of the panel. Pivot the panels to sew the short side of each panel, and then pivot again to continue until you reach the end of the side panel. Repeat on the other side. To really reinforce this fabric so that this bag is as durable as possible, and to keep with that pretty contrast stitching, just like when we did the pocket, I'm gonna sew a line on the top and bottom of the bag and on my side pieces on what will be the top of that. With all of our contrast stitching done, now we can assemble the bag. I'm going to take one of these side pieces and making sure that the contrast stitching lines up. That's how you know that everything that's supposed to be up is up. I'm going to line the two vinyl pieces together, the wrong sides together, and then start sewing down this line. To make this top really strong, just like we talked about on the pocket, doing a little back stitching, I'm going to do that there too, so that the bag doesn't fall apart when you open it. And I'll sew all the way down and then bend this fabric up to pivot around that corner and bend again to come all the way back up the top. You can see I left a 1/4 of an inch off the edge, and so with that space what I'm going to do is bend this large piece at a 90-degree angle so that I can turn the corner around the side piece. You can kind of fold all that other stuff out of your way, and that'll help you get a nice crisp corner. I'll start by sewing in that corner and going all the way across, leaving about a 1/4 of an inch off that side again, just like we did the first time. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing. Use that 1/4 of an inch space I left myself and fold that over to turn that corner and sew all the way up to the end. So there's one side, and so now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side to finish this bag up. And that's it, it's finished. I love how this turned out. It's going to actually give me the motivation I need to bring my lunches when I want to. I think having something this cute makes you want to have an excuse to show it off. So that means I actually have to follow through with my goals this year. This project only cost me $10. It's a great way to send your kids or yourself to school or work with a healthy lunch. Subscribe to The Mom's View so you can see all of our DIY projects as soon as they come out. And come find me on my channel, Reese Dixon. If you have an expensive project you want to see us make for less, leave a comment below. We'll see you next time. Bye.